Hey, welcome to another Up to No Good joint. I'm Alfonso Rachel, knuckleheaded defender of the faith. Let us continue the conversation with the so-called book of myths known as the Bible. Now, I don't mean to toot my horn about this, but when I was about 10 years old, I was almost invited to the University of Redlands to give a presentation on Greek mythology because I grasped it so freakishly well. I hardly remember any of that Greek mythology stuff, but the point is that I know enough about what qualifies as a myth. For example, Helios, from where we get the word helium, which is elemental in our blazing sun. Well, Helios was a titan with a big blazing afro who drove his lowrider chariot across the sky, and that's how we got daylight. The Bible doesn't read that way though. The Bible doesn't speak of an explanation of how God created sunlight. It doesn't give you some story or method that mankind can disprove. God gave a voice command and activated the necessary elements, and you can't prove that he didn't initiate the process. It's funny, atheists can't believe that the earth was created in 6 days, but they can believe that the whole universe in all of its precise orchestration and hugeness had no designer and was created in a random explosion. And you call us Christians gullible. As the saying goes, that would be like a tornado blowing through a junkyard and assembling a 747 jet. Side note, yes, I do believe that there were dinosaurs, and yes, I believe they existed before humans. Anyway, Bible bashers crack me up as they pass judgment on God while accusing him of being judgmental. They cast God aside and say to hell with God while accusing God of sending people to hell for not believing in him. God does not force people to believe in him. He doesn't round people up and throw them into the lake of fire and say, I'm not gonna let you out until you believe in me. So the Bible bashers challenge the reality of God or they challenge the personality of God in the Bible. Okay, while you scrutinize and judge the personality of God and demand God prove his reality to you, you overlook how real God has been with you. God is always keeping it real. He's always being real with you. God has been more real with you than you've ever been with anybody in your life, including yourself. We love to keep it real, right? We love it when people are straight up real and honest, right? Well, God is with you, and you judge him for it. Like on my last Up to No Good piece where I point out that God does not condone slavery, here come the Bible bashers all hung up on this idea that he does. These Bible bashers like to think of themselves as enlightened and open-minded, man, but they got their narrow minds clenched around Exodus 21:20 tighter than a gassy girl's butt on a first date, man. They claim that the Bible is full of contradictions. Just a suggestion, it's not a contradiction. It's an area that warrants a connection. God understands that oftentimes people take for granted what is just given to them. So if you want the truth, you gotta work for it to appreciate it. The Bible is delivered to you containing the whole truth, but guess what? Some assembly required. The Bible bashers dang near pull a muscle trying to pat themselves on the back because they think that they got us Christians by pointing to Exodus 21:20 through 21. And they do this while overlooking these little details. Exodus 21:20 through 21 is talking about a person who gives themselves to be your servant freely. It speaks of an instance of where the servant would be beaten within an inch of his life. But during this time, as the servant's life hangs in the balance, the servant will pardon you for what you've done. The servant will ask the ultimate judge to pardon you for your ignorance. While dying, the servant will plead against your punishment. After the allotted 1 to 2 day period, on the 3rd day, the servant will raise up. You narrow-minded Bible bashers miss the big picture that verse is in relevance to Christ himself. Now don't get me wrong, I am not so arrogant as to assume that I have the words or retort that could satisfy you. Shoot, man, not when the blood, the suffering, and the very life that Jesus Christ laid down for you wasn't enough to satisfy you. You Bible bashers are hung up on the idea that the Bible is written by man. Is that all you see? Really? Because what I see is that the Bible was written by witnesses. Why? Because there's power in testimony, y'all. If I tell you, myself, that my music project, 20 Pound Sledge, is really good, no, for reals, it's really good, you should check it out. You're gonna be like, yeah, sure, man, I'll check it out. But if somebody else happens to hear it and they happen to like it, and then they go and turn around and say, hey man, have you heard 20 Pound Sledge? Man, they're pretty good. The other person's gonna be like, all right, then yeah, I'll check it out. God's truth is delivered to us in such a method. And mind you, there was a time when God did dwell among people and revealed himself to them in some fashion, like a radiant cloud or a pillar of fire, and some of the people still didn't get it. Some people just refused to be satisfied. Not one person has all the answers. Thus, the Bible wasn't written by one person. Jesus Christ didn't write an autobiography, because if he would have, y'all would have accused him of embellishment. Come on, Jesus, you laying on a little thick, ain't you? Brought a man back to life, really? You fed 5,000 people with a few pieces of bread and some fish, really? Oh, you gonna escape death, really? Okay, well, good luck with that, Houdini. Somebody a little full of they self. So yes, the book was written by several people. And no, the stories aren't all perfectly the same. There's nuances. But if they were all perfectly the same, then y'all really would have accused the Bible of being contrived. So like I said, God is always keeping it real with us. God didn't write you some book that's all sweet and happy and leave out questionable aspects of himself. He bears it all. But God is holy. Period. But he understands that some of you don't agree. He understands that though he didn't cause it, there has been a lot of suffering and death. God accepts the responsibility of giving you free will. He accepts the responsibility for all the suffering that follows from people using their free will to not follow his instructions. As atonement for what we've done with his gift, he came to us in human form to be tortured and killed. He subjected himself to the death penalty, not just for your salvation, but for your satisfaction. There, I have paid with agony in my life to let you know that I am sorry for the things you don't understand. But I know that humans understand blame, and you can cast on me your blame and accuse and punish me for all the things that you don't understand. I'll take spit to the face, a crown of thorns to the head, a cat of 9 tails to the back, a nail in each hand and foot. I'm gonna die a slow, agonizing death just to let you know I understand. I understand that me giving my very life for all the suffering there has been will not be enough to satisfy some of you. And if that's the position that you choose, then basically what you've said is, to hell with you, Jesus. But that curse won't fall on Jesus. You'll have cursed yourself. Anyway, hey, before I get on up out of here, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting Macho Sauce Productions. And remember, Macho Sauce is the term I use to refer to the blood of a man's man, Jesus Christ. If you agree with that, I hope you'll grab a shirt from my website, MachoSauceProductions.com. Remember, Macho Sauce, blood of Christ, a man's man. And thanks again for sharing these videos with your friends, family, and people who get on your nerves. And if you got any questions or comments, chuck it in the bucket.